First tonight, a KVUE Defenders investigation. For the past several years, Austin police have conducted hundreds of voluntary checks on sex offenders to make sure they are living and working where they claimed when they registered with the city.
But the KVUE Defenders found the so-called compliance checks dropped dramatically last year and is far lower than other Texas cities. Here's KVUE senior reporter Tony Plahetsky.
We go out and knock on the doors of sex offenders.
These Austin police officers are embarking on a two-day mission, completing a round of verifications to make sure the city's 2,200 registered sex offenders are, in fact, living where they say.
It's going to be a two-day operation where we're going out and doing compliance checks.
Under Texas law, sex offenders must register with their local law enforcement agency annually, every 90 days, or every 30 days, depending on the severity of their crimes and risk level. Based on the seriousness of their original crime, failure to register or update a registration is up to a second-degree felony, punishable by up to 20 years in prison. But the law does not specifically require that agencies go out into the community to randomly check that registrants are living where they say.
It's just something, best practices around the state, something that we just want to make sure that we keep accountability for those that are registering.
For years, the Austin Police Department's Sex Offender and Registration Unit operated a robust compliance check program.
It's really dependent on time and resources.
But in 2022, the department moved 3 officers from the unit, and according to WU, made less overtime available for compliance checks as APD had fewer officers for patrol shifts.
It's something that's felt by all law enforcement agencies all around, a decrease in staffing, decrease in funding.
The numbers have reflected that shift. In 2023, APD conducted 800 checks and 1,100 the next year. But in 2025, that number dipped to just 369, a 3-year average of 756 checks. But other departments say they prioritize such efforts. Fort Worth, which has about 1,000 more registered sex offenders, averaged 3,368. That's 4 times more than Austin in the same period. The KVUE Defenders found San Antonio PD averaged about 3,000 checks in the past 3 years. The city has about 1,500 more sex offenders than Austin.
It adds some assurance to us, but it's necessary for us.
Advocates for survivors of sexual violence, such as Lavinia Masters, who serves on the state's Sexual Assault Survivors Task Force, say local law enforcement must do more.
We already live in a life of fear of these individuals that commit these type of crimes, and I think it's absolutely necessary in that our system needs to understand how survivors need this reassurance.
Austin police are now trying to do better.
We recognize that we still have the obligation to do the best we can for our community members, victims of crime, and so it drives us to do things better, to be more creative about how we can complete best practices and our obligations to protect the citizens of Austin.
In mid-February, they conducted a 2-day operation and did random spot checks in various zip codes, working with other agencies. WU says they conducted dozens of compliance checks and hope to do more of these types of operations in the coming year.
And that's part of being a good law enforcement officer, is that you're always wanting to do better because your commitment is to the community members.
Austin police officials say that during the past year, as they were conducting fewer compliance checks, their main focus remained on making sure people required to register actually did. They say they closely monitor such lapses and immediately issue arrest warrants for those registrants. In the past 3 years, they averaged about 170 arrest warrants for that crime.